ODM oye! That lady and many others. So it is a good day that we have come together as a family to celebrate our past and our achievements and our hope for the future. As a teacher, among other things, I like to put the record straight. 20 years ago, an orange became more than just a fruit. It became a symbol, the emblem of a people's defiance, the voice of a nation demanding justice, and the promise of a Kenya reborn. Out of the fire of the 2005 referendum, the Orange Democratic Movement was born. Not merely as another political party, but as a movement of hope, a force for reform, and a covenant with the people of Kenya. Today, comrades, as we gather here 2 decades later, we are not only celebrating 20 years of existence, we are celebrating resilience. We honor the sacrifices of our founders, the courage of our supporters, and the unwavering dream of a fair, just, and prosperous Kenya. ODM at 20 is not just the story of a party. It is the story of a people who refuse to surrender their destiny. Distinguished Wanachungwa, as a pioneer Secretary General of this great movement, I stand before you with pride to reflect on our journey. The Orange Democratic Movement was formally registered in 2005, emerging from the No campaign during the constitutional referendum of that year. And I remember the prime movers of the ODM disappeared somewhere in Ukambani, and the president was one of them. I don't know whether that place was called Kwambungo or something like that. Yeah? Busiongumbo. That is where we disappeared, to conspire how to bring this political party to birth in a nation that was suppressed by presidential authoritarianism. The Orange Democratic Movement, having been registered with the orange as the symbol, the voice of those who opposed the proposed draft constitution came together, opposing the so-called Kilifi draft constitution and embracing the bombers of Kenya draft. In history, you need to learn what those two drafts of the constitution stood for. The bombers of Kenya are people's proposal for a new constitution. The Kilifi draft are defense for the past and a privilege for the few. We viewed that a draft as a legal camouflage designed to sustain the old reactionary order, not the progressive democratic Kenya that we ODM envisioned. ODM was formed by leaders and citizens who could no longer tolerate injustice, disorder, and reckless leadership. We sought genuine change, not a repackaged continuation of bad governance. Among the key founding figures who stood with the people were Raila Odinga, Makofi Basi, our party leader and the enduring face of the movement, whose untimely passing remains a great loss to our people. Uhuru Kenyatta, who initially allied with ODM during the referendum before charting his own political path and later becoming Kenya's 4th president. William Ruto, a central figure in the 2005 No campaign, one of the ODM's strongest mobilizers in the Rift Valley, and now the President of the Republic of Kenya. Kalonzo Musyoka, who also opposed the Kilifi draft constitution, but later formed ODM Kenya, now the Wiper Democratic Movement. Musalia Mudavadi, who stood alongside Raila as his running mate in 2007 and now serves as Kenya's Prime Cabinet Secretary. Najib Balala, a proud member of the ODM Pentagon, representing the Coast region. What with Najib? Is out of the country. I will stand in for him. After the referendum victory, internal disagreements led to a split, ODM Raila's faction and ODM Kenya Kalonzo's faction. Raila's ODM went on to contest the 2007 general election, nearly capturing power in one of Kenya's most disputed elections and establishing that the vision of the ODM that it led was really the true story that Kenyans wanted to hear about. At its formation in 2005, ODM crafted a clear and bold vision, rooted in the spirit of reform and the will of the people. Defending the people's sovereignty became an important item on our agenda, ensuring that the will of Kenyans, as expressed in the referendum, would guide constitutional, political, and economic reforms. Advancing constitutional change became our permanent mission, replacing centralized governance with a people-driven constitution, promoting devolution, inclusivity, and checks and balances on presidential power. Bridging the gap between the rich and the poor was also on our agenda. Pressing historical injustices in land, addressing historical injustices in land, governance, and human rights, and ensuring fair resource distribution. Strengthening multi-party democracy, fighting corruption, and protecting civil liberties. Under the leadership of the Right Honorable Raila Odinga, ODM sought to unite Kenya in its diversity, embracing our ethnic, cultural, and regional identities under the clarion call, Chungwa Moja, Maisha Bora. Chungwa Moja, Maisha Bora. The path has been rough and slippery at times, yet our spirit has never wavered. In 2007, we launched our manifesto, the ODM Roadmap to Real Change. Its three key pillars remain relevant today. One, constitutional and institutional reform. A people-driven constitution, rule of law, accountability, and balanced presidential powers. Two, devolution and equitable development. Resources to reach every county and correct historical marginalization. Third, economic growth and equity. Job creation for the youth, agricultural empowerment, and fair access to land, and a prosperous modern industrial and manufacturing sector. Social justice and human development, free basic education, universal health care, and poverty reduction. National unity and cohesion, inclusivity across all divides, and a war against corruption, nepotism, and impunity. Further infrastructure and modernization, expanding roads, energy, ICT, water, and housing for all. Our goal was simple yet profound: to redefine governance and redistribute opportunity so that every Kenyan could truly feel the promise of independence. Ladies and gentlemen, we must now look at our legacy. Remembering what happened in Italy, for example, in 1871. Under the Grand Coalition, our leader became Prime Minister, and we laid the foundation for reforms that will still shape Kenya today. In 2010, we achieved one of our founding goals, the birth of a new constitution that devolved power and protected rights. 2013, 17, and 22, though denied victory through political malpractice, ODM stood firm as the people's watchdog, the voice of accountability, and the defender of revolution. Asante sana ndugu wangu. Mungu akubariki. ODM has been tested but never broken. challenged but never defeated. As we celebrate 20 years of resilience, we must renew our covenant with the people of Kenya. The next 20 years must be about economic justice, building an economy that works for the mama mboga, the border rider, and the village farmer that we envisioned in Vision 2030. Social protection, healthcare for every family, education for every child, dignity for every worker, defending devolution, ensuring resources which where our people live and our people dream for a better future. Unity and inclusivity, a Kenya where no community is left behind and no citizen feels like a stranger in their own country. And above all, ODM must nurture a new generation of leaders. Men and women will carry this flame of reform into the future. In conclusion, mabwana na mabibi, na wale wasio na mabibi, let us remember this truth. ODM is not just a party, it is a movement. ODM is the dream. ODM is the dream of the farmer who tills his land seeking fair markets. ODM is the cry of the mother who wants health care for her children. ODM is the hope of the youth, yearning for opportunity, dignity, and justice. We must reignite the fire for the next 20 years, a fire of struggle, service, resoluteness, and victory. I foresee political jungles opening up, darkness giving way to light, and lives transformed. So let us rise, united, one people, one movement, one nation. May ODM live on. May democracy thrive. May the people of Kenya forever be free and prosperous. Long live ODM. Long live a united Kenya. ODM at 20, stronger than ever. Asanteni sana.